Your Creative Push, episode 111.
A lot of people are in the same boat nowadays. We have so much available to us, but we don't know really how to use it or where to start. I'd start by having a positive mentality, thinking it yourself. I'm not going to be sad today. I'm going to wake up today. I'm just going to try and do something else because I'm just had enough of sadness. Like today, I can't be sad anymore. Even if it's baby steps like that, it doesn't have to be today I'm going to change the world. Today I'm going to be the president. Today I'm going to make a #1 album. Like it'd be today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to meditate because every day I've woken up and I felt sad and it's just not working, So baby steps. If I had to reach out and grab you, baby steps.
Nah, 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 nah. Steady as she goes, holding on to hope. Into the unknown I drift away, ripping at the seams, vivid like a dream. I saw you long before you came. Now tell me where your heart is. Right back in the place it started. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've gotta figure a way out of this state I'm in, 'cause life been bringing me way down. I'm not giving in. I might be crazy, but I'll be alright, 'cause the only way to take off is to face what's on my mind. And walk on the water, yeah, walk it together to a better place, yeah, to a better state, yeah. When light ties a feather, no matter the weather, gotta find a way to kill the pain from this state I'm in now.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Brandyn Burnette.
What's up?
Brandyn is a progressive soul producer, singer-songwriter from St. Louis, Missouri, currently living in Los Angeles. The self-taught third-generation musician has crafted his own sound and style that has begun to take over the pop underground world from the inside out. He released his first EP, Made of Dreams, in 2015, and his latest EP, State I'm In, comes out on June 24th, 2016. So, first of all, congratulations, Brandyn. It's a couple days, and your sophomore EP.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a crazy process putting this one together, and I'm excited to get my second body of work out there.
Yeah, we're excited for it too. Was there a difference for you, both with like kind of the final product, but also like the creative process for this EP in comparison to Made of Dreams?
Yeah, there was a huge development between Made of Dreams and this one. I had never put out a collection of songs like that I could call like a project up until Made of Dreams, and Made of Dreams was very much so me figuring out, okay, what do I want to say? Post being on a label for 4 years and not being able to put out music or really build my fan base the way I want, what do I say now? Like I spent so long developing, and that I felt like you're like old news, like you've written so many records that, haven't been heard, and you feel like kind of like daunting, like where do I start? So I knew that I wanted to start somewhere and show people a little bit of like the sampler. Made of Dreams was like a sampler, I had a little bit of dark experimental productions on there, and then I had a little bit of this alt pop soul fusion, and it was a nice 6-track record to put out there and see what reacted. Probably one of my favorites from the first record was a ballad, which is funny because out of all the productions and all the sounds, I found that I loved my voice and an instrument the most, and so I really wanted to take that in building the second project. I worked with incredible producers on the first one, two of them. One named Lewis Hughes and another named Ryan Spraker. They taught me so much. They actually inspired me to produce more on my own. And so I wanted to strip it back a little bit. I wanted it to be a little more, if it was going to be produced and overproduced in quotes or whatever, I wanted it to be my overproduction. I wanted to rein in the sound with this one because I felt like I'd kind of figured out what I wanted to say as an artist, but I still was experimenting with sounds on the first EP. So State I'm In was a huge step in solidifying my sound, and also kind of like seeing what I can do as a creator. I'd never trusted myself enough to produce an entire record, or let alone reach out to people to get it mixed or reach out to musicians to play live elements. So this project really made me feel like an artist more so than the last one.
That's awesome, man. So like the first one, like you said, was like a sampler where it's like almost, dipping your toes and figuring out what feels right, kind of?
Yeah, exactly.
So do you feel like you've figured out what you want to say now, or is it just this is one thing that you want to say with State I'm In?
Yeah, I think, the titles of my record so far are self-explanatory. Made of Dreams was me taking what's inside of my head and what I had learned from being signed to a major and moving from New York, first from St. Louis to New York to LA, and kind of like, chasing a passion the entire way. I always had a focus that I wanted to be an artist. So Made of Dreams was that record showing the process of like breaking through problems, highs, lows, etc. And State I'm In, and it was funny because Made of Dreams was a collection. It felt like an EP that took 5 years to make. Even though I made it in a few months, it was my first project. It was the first thing that I was putting out, a full body of work. So it felt like it was very like the time it came out, it felt old, to be honest, which is crazy. And I'd already started developing the new record. I really with this project, I wanted to give people a real time, up to date, like here's where Brandyn Burnette's at. Not like here's where Brandyn was after 4 years of developing and fighting through a major label and being afraid to put out his music. And now he's putting out, like I wanted it to be like, no, this is the state I'm in. Like this is literally, some songs were written, 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Other songs were taken, like State I'm In, the title track was written half when I was 15. I found lyrics from when I was 15 that were titled a song that I was writing now, and I put them together. So it's this very like hodgepodge of like not only influences and styles that I've loved and production styles that I've loved working with great producers, but as far as like the storyline, it's like really, really linked to where I'm at right now.
I love it. Like it's like catching up.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the themes on this podcast that we talk about a lot is, if you get inspired by an idea or a body of ideas, like a body of work, you're stuck with that idea until you actually create it. So, I like that. I like how it was like, all right, I have to get that out of my system. I have to complete this. And then now you're caught up with State I'm In.
Right. Yeah, totally. Nailed it.
What was that like with finding the lyrics like you were talking about from like a decade ago, right? When you're 15? Was it like a magical thing where you're like, oh my God, this is completely relevant to what I want to write now?
It was really insane. I mean, State I'm In is a great song to talk about because obviously it being the title track, it speaks heavily to me. But I went home for the first time in a long time. And home is different for me now because my parents moved from St. Louis and they split up last year. So they're in different places. So my mom lives in Georgia. And so I went home to visit my mom, and it was my first time going home since she's, not with my dad. And so, I'm going through all these emotions, and she pulls up this old folder with all these lyrics. And I remember going through and I'm reading these lyrics, and I'm like, some of them I'm like, oh my God, angsty Brandyn writing about girls, obviously. And then I come across one that says the state we're in. And I shit you not, like weeks before I was coming home, I started writing a song called State I'm In. So I'm like, the state we're in, and I see the date, it says 2006, and I'm like, what? And I look at the lyrics, I'm like, this is totally me, like this is my handwriting, this is like, I remember, and then I like the part of the song, it's like, call out peace brings prosperity, truth. So it was like this whole like spoken word that I had written, and I like, kid you not, I'm looking at the piece of paper, and it was like my higher self or my soul like had lined up with my current self because it just hit me like it was already there. And I had been right before I came home, I was writing, State I'm In with the chords. And so I picked up my first guitar when I was in Augusta, Georgia, and I'm looking at these lyrics, and I'm singing what I already started writing, and then I'm trying to, and then I'm looking at the lyrics, and I see that there's a chorus, and I see that there's this rap part, and like it was meant to be, they hit me. And like I always do, I have my phone and I put on record so I don't miss anything. And I remember like putting them all together in that moment and being like, I freaked out. Like I jumped up and down. Like, oh my God. And I was like reading the lyrics. I was like, what was I saying? Like, and deciphering what I meant. And yeah, it was really, really an exciting, like time to go back and find some lyrics from the past that were wiser than what I could have written now. That really blew my mind, because it took me a couple of reads through the lyrics and to figure out what I was saying. And that was so cool. And that's just one story. Like the EP has so many lyrically. It's one of the most. I'm the most excited about this body, because each song lyrically stems from a different place. The process isn't the same. So you have State I'm In, that was written half at 15, half at 25. You have a song Karma that was written in the course of just a day, in like a blur. After I made this decision not to do American Idol, I camped out for a day and like made this song about actions and how they affect our futures. And then I have a record called Set in Stone that's about the story of Moses. And so I take some biblical references from that. And then I have another record called Inner Child that's more of an interlude that, like, I lost the entire beat for it, and I lost all the lyrics for it. So I had to rebuild the beat, and I had to essentially wait for the right moment for the lyrics to hit my brain again. So each song on the EP lyrically, it's so unique. The process, like every artist always wants to be able to pinpoint what the process is. It's like, oh, this is how I do it. And I learned on this record, I'm still learning how I do it, and I'm still learning how I want to write. I've figured out my voice, but I'm definitely not chained to a specific way of writing my songs anymore.
Congratulations for that. But I think that's one of the coolest things to figure out, and to never. I think everybody always is learning the creative process, but the really important thing is to leave yourself open to ideas. And I really love that story about, going back and it just feeling right, yeah. Where it's almost like your 15-year-old self was like a sagely a time traveler or something like that,
waiting for that moment. It's so crazy. And in that moment it's those rare moments where you can't explain the feelings to people, because you have to have those feelings, but it was like I joined. It was like this moment where it was there. It wasn't like it was creating. It wasn't like it was channeling. It was like it was already there. And I feel like that's something that, just to touch on the whole theme of the record, I think it's destiny is a big theme, in the entire thing, where it's we go through these things as people, and we're constantly trying to figure out where we're at, who we are. But what was the comforting thing is where we at and who we are and who we're going to be. If you have faith that you're going to get there, it kind of reveals itself. You don't really have to force it into this is where I'm at and this is this, and that's what I had to do with this record too. It was okay, I'm calling it The State I'm In, and I'm it's self-explanatory, but I don't want it to be so personal to me that it alienates people from relating to it in their own way. So, I tried to make each personal story and experience universal enough in its concepts that you can hear my soul through what I'm saying, but you can also apply it to anything from relationship to jobs to whatever. Absolutely, and you definitely can. I mean, Karma is my favorite song. Thank you so much. On the EP that I've heard so far, at least. This being before the whole thing's released, but yeah, I love Karma, and yeah, you're an amazing singer, but the lyrics are very important too, and like you said, they're easily relatable. I'm sure everybody has their own personal story. You obviously wrote it for your story, but then when you can connect with people that way, it is like magic. And even it's not even connecting with other people; it's like connecting with your former self. Or learning lessons that you weren't quite ready to learn until later. So true. Yeah. And that's also the really important thing about, writing down every idea that you get, whatever it is that you do, whether you're a musician or an artist or a writer, whatever it is, just putting all those ideas down, even if they don't make sense or even if they seem silly or whatever, just getting them down. Advice. Dude, that is honestly the best advice. And that's something that my dad, when I was 15 years old, I was like, what do I do, Dad? I'm I want to make it. And my dad's he's listening to my first few songs. I expected him to be like, these are amazing, whatever. He was like, keep writing. And and that was the hardest thing to hear. I'm like, keep writing, but I'm done, but if I didn't have that advice, what you just said too, I probably would have stopped after Warner, after, a failed first major label run. trying to figure out, how to get people to listen, whatever. If I didn't have like instilled in me that I just to keep developing and keep writing, and also to do it personally, like when I really started to have nobody listening, like because when you're in a label or we were with a team, you're constantly sending people music, you're constantly having people say this, that, giving them opinions, whether you listen to them or not, whatever. But this one, I had a chance to really, even the last EP, it was kind of like I had nobody, people gave me their opinions, whatnot, but nobody was going to stop me from putting it out. And I feel like sometimes you have so much time to put out a record and you have so much time to figure out what you want to say, and you don't really know, you're not really confident enough to say it yet because you're looking for validation. So continuing writing and to not need any validation but myself, those completely saved my artistry.
Absolutely. With so many like people around you, people that are involved in the project, I'm sure that can get hectic, in your own brain where you're not writing it for yourself.
Right.
And I think for any type of creative person that you have to just be you alone, locked in a room, and just do it for yourself as if nobody will ever hear it. And that's a really vulnerable thing to do, because in the back of your mind, you know that hopefully, somebody will see this, or many people will see this. So do you have any advice for being able to kind of open up and to get past that hesitancy, to really be your honest and true self?
Yeah. Well, advice is always a tough thing.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly growing as people, and I'm just learning how to be comfortable. But I think you nailed it. It's the authenticity, especially now that we have screens in between us and we have social media that we can post behind, and Facebook statuses where we're all commenting on, this social thread. I feel like people see through when you're not being real. And there are some people who like thrive on not being real and who make a career on not being real. And so that's the difficult part, is you feel when somebody's not being real, but you can't stop it, and you may still buy into it. So I think as an artist, just know what kind of artist you want to be. Because when I was at Warner, I learned who I wasn't. And that was the biggest lesson that I learned. I learned who other people wanted me to be. I also learned, like, that there are different levels of artistry. I could write and produce it myself, or I could, there's a certain point where the label was trying to have me cut other people's songs, and that's another type of artist as well. So I think knowing where you want to be, and also knowing where you want to go with your artistry. If you just want to be a pop star and do the damn thing, and tour the world and do whatever, then maybe authenticity isn't your route. Maybe you have an amazing voice and you can't write, or you like singing other people's songs because you connect with them. I think just being authentic to whatever it is that's in your heart. And I think the confusion happens with artists is when they think they're being authentic, but they don't see that they're listening to other people, or that they're trying to do something that maybe is outside of their reach or their calling. So, the best advice is just to stay authentic to what's in your heart, because that's, at the end of the day, that leads you better than your head and your gut is your heart.
Absolutely. Yeah. And once you can kind of tune into it, it becomes second nature, but it is kind of pushing through that, not worrying what other people are going to think, and just figuring out what you think, and just being vulnerable enough to put it out there.
And I just wanted to say too about getting to that place is I used to run from my problems. I used to write as if I had no problems. I used to try and cover up every little bit of my sadness in my music. And I think that that's a really powerful thing that's happening in the world right now. It's like, we are all going through shit. We are all kind of losing our minds. There's so many bad things happening. We're all so confused. I mean, like, this election has confused us and divided us more than it's ever divided us, really, in a long time, at least. And so everybody's having this like, we're collectively
Scratching our heads.
Yeah, picking up, scratching our heads, getting afraid. We're watching what the response online to tragic events and watching our youth, make mockeries of certain things, and it's confused us all. Like, our morality compass is way off the rocker. So I think that now more than ever, artists who can come along and speak on things that are relevant, but in an honest way, where it's like, it doesn't have to be a happy 4-on-4 pop EDM song for you to get powerful feeling from it, and I think that's something especially Molly, my girlfriend, and I are trying to do with our label that we started, and with the music we make, and with our side project Cosmos the Creature, is we want to make music that is tapping into the real stuff. Like, we go through shit, we have problems, we have afflictions, we have triumphs, we have downfalls. So why would we give fans only one side of that, or why would we try to funnel what people are going to take from it? The best advice, just going back to it, is take whatever's in your life, whether it's positive and negative, and heal from it through the music. And when I started writing songs because they were therapeutic, like I started when I was a kid, like writing about the first hair on my face, because I'm like, what is this? I got a hair on my face. But like, it helped me get through it. And like, same thing, I wrote a song on my last EP for two fans that lost somebody. And then I lost my dog like a few months later, which is not the same as losing a person. But I remember I was playing a show in New York and I cried talking about my dog, and I was like, I wrote this song about loss for two fans who lost a friend. And here I am crying over it because I lost my dog. And now my grandma's sick. So I'm thinking about how that's going to hit me, when I lose family members and stuff. So if keeping it in emotion sense, I mean, there's different levels. Like I said, you can write for business, you can be a songwriter and just try and make money, or you want hits, or you want singles or whatever. But if you're really trying to build something authentic, I say pull from the places that you get the most authentic, and it's in those things that are uglier. It's not so pretty to post that you're having a shitty day. But sometimes that shitty day, out of that shitty day, you're finding something that helps bring you out of a funk that you've been in for months, So there's really, it's endless, but I think authenticity, I keep repeating that word because I think it's important. We're losing it now in this generation, because we have an ability to create what we want people to see online. And it constantly is in contrast to who we actually are as people.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. And going along with it too, I think it's the responsibility of somebody who is gifted with a creative impulse, to use that to communicate. Art is all about communication,
right.
And I think that it's your duty to communicate honestly and to bring up these difficult or ugly or just not pretty, topics, so we can help each other to get through them and to figure out what we're doing,
right.
To get our heads out of the sand, as it were, and just, really, as you said, kind of get our moral compass back on track and try to be more of a positive influence in the world.
Yeah. Well, we have such one more thing. We have such an incredible gift over here. I mean, and not everybody's lucky, especially in our country. But we have something safer than most places, and it's a shame for us to just not use all of our energies to helping make these places that are unsafe and helping make these situations that are not favorable to certain groups of people more favorable, more open, more connected. I think it's important. That's what, at least, even aside from artistry and entertainment, being a good person, having good intentions, even when I'm writing my music, I'm like, what is my intention with this song? Like I even stopping and thinking, what am I trying to say? And as soon as you can figure out your intention behind something, that's how you can put an action to it.
And yeah, again, going along with that, I think the most important thing is to look at the world with a global consciousness, more of we're a global community of 7 billion people, and not these borders that we've it's something that I think people have definitely lost track of, especially as you mentioned before with this election and everything else going on. It's really important.
Yeah. Agreed.
Going back to the song Karma, can you talk a little bit about that? You mentioned the American Idol thing, which really interested me because I saw your audition, which you crushed it. If people didn't see it, like Harry Connick Jr. comes up and hugs you in the middle of it, like that's insane. And to me, it's really the story behind what happened after the audition is inspiring to me. Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I love telling people about like before, because before the audition was even crazier than the audition. So I'll get to karma, but I drive up a day early to San Francisco, where the audition is, because the last time I was in San Francisco, I was opening a show for my buddy John Bellion, and I left the show and went to the car, and the back window was busted open, and my girlfriend and I both had our laptops stolen, and we lost lyrics, we lost songs, we lost like almost everything.
It's always the most brutal thing is when I imagine my laptop getting stolen, it's all the work. I don't care about the laptop. It's all the stuff.
That was what it was like. Screw the laptop. We couldn't get any of the lyrics and stuff, and we were in the middle of creating our first EPs. And so anyway, so I go up to San Francisco. I get there a day early because on the way home from that last trip in San Francisco, I got a speeding ticket because my car window got busted open. I had a busted window, so I'm speeding home. I get a ticket. I have to come back a day early. I pay the ticket. I'm staying with my sister because she lives in San Fran. And I wake up the next morning, like 7 a.m, go to this hotel where the auditions are. I'm standing in line, and there's like a kid gets in line behind me, and he's like singing Queen, like "We Are the Champions." And I'm like, here I am. I'm at American Idol at 7 a.m. What am I doing? So I'm standing in line. And then we finally get inside, and I'm like, here we go. They're going to like have me go audition. And they're like, Brandyn Burnette. And I'm like, here we go. And they're like, you're here on the wrong day. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh man, really? And they're like, yeah, your audition's tomorrow. And I was like, oh, I must have been screwed up because I was paying this ticket, this speeding ticket. And I was like, but luckily my sister's here, so I'll just go over her place and I'll come back tomorrow. Sure. And so as I'm turning around to leave, I hear this woman go, Brandyn? And I'm like looking around. I'm like, there's no way I know somebody here in freaking San Francisco. And she's like, oh my God, I'm your dad's cousin, Donna, my son, Desmond. He's a big fan of yours. He's 15 years old, and we've been standing in line behind you all day. And the kid who's singing Queen is my cousin.
Oh, wow.
I don't know that he's my cousin until they call my name and tell me to leave. So we take a picture, and I leave. And my girlfriend and I go get some lunch, and a couple hours go by, and I get a call from the producers. The producers are like, oh my gosh, we just met your cousin. We can't believe you guys met in line, standing in front of each other. Like, I'm so sorry we sent you home. Can you come back, and can you audition today? And I'm like, and like, luckily, I like looked at my horoscope, and my horoscope was like, you're going to get an opportunity. Go take it. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll go today. I'll do it because I wasn't expecting to. I was expecting to, then I wasn't. So I was like, it's destiny. I should go. And so I get back, and the first thing they have me do is to pretend to meet my cousin like 3 times in a row. That was one of those things where it's like, and everybody at American Idol was so nice. Like, not a bad company at all. They're some of the nicest human beings ever. But for me personally, reenacting life is like so hard. Like, it's like we're having this interview, and you ask me, okay, that was a test run. Let's do it again, and like expect me to have the same answers. It's like it just doesn't work that way. So to meet my cousin, like 3 times in a row on camera, kind of put like a little weird feeling for me, and the audition was crazy. They had us audition together. They put us in a little waiting room together, and really shocked that Harry Connick Jr. came up and surprised me. I thought it was my mom, to be honest. I thought that they somehow like
the same tender embrace.
Yeah, or like they sent my girlfriend in or something. I had no clue that it was going to be Harry Connick, and I actually wasn't going to. So I had 3 songs I was going to sing. I was either going to sing a song of mine called "I Want to Be Free." They really wanted me to sing a cover of Sam Cooke, Change Is Gonna Come. And then I had this song. I said, if I'm going to be on TV at all, and I have one moment to play something, like, I have to play this song Lost. Like, I know that there's somebody who has to hear it. The last minute, I'm like, I walk in with the guitar, and I'm like, maybe going to play I Want to Be Free. And I'm thinking maybe they're going to ask me to sing the cover. And they asked me what I'm going to sing. And I just remember in my head, I was like, it's got to be Lost. So I put the guitar down and sang Lost, and them putting me through was a crazy experience. And aside from all that, I think the best part about that experience was after it aired, and after people saw it, and after people saw the audition, to to see the reaction. It wasn't like I got a million fans and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," blah blah. It was more like, "Thank you so much. I needed this song. I just lost my sister. I just lost my mom. I'm losing my cousin. I'm losing," and it was just story after story of people experiencing their own versions of loss and how much they needed that song. And then for me, I'm 25, but I remember being 12 the first time I saw American Idol and being depressed for the first time and watching like the audition rounds, and they just got me so stoked. I was like, American Idol's back. Woo, I'm not depressed anymore. And so to be a part of that like experience for people in like, almost 13 years later, on the other side of the screen, to be that glimpse of people who caught that song and it helped them. That was the most rewarding experience. And I think in making the decision, a lot of people actually don't know that, I chose not to do it. A lot of people think that I got eliminated or think that I did it. But in making the decision, my whole family wanted to be a part of it, and they were excited. We loved the show. It came down to the time commitment. I was in the middle of creating this second EP, State I'm In. Literally, like the first two songs were created, and I wanted to finish this project, but I knew that going to Hollywood Week, I would have to it would just be a whole world of American Idol. I also felt like American Idol is such a big and incredible American brand, but it's exactly that. It's a brand. So it was hard for me to foresee me and my music breaking outside of American Idol. Not that I would have not liked the platform and being able to gain fans and stuff, but it's really important to me how I gain fans, and the show is really adamant on singing covers and singing together and doing duets and collaborating with celebrities, and for me, like, my talent and my artistry lies in my music and my stories and my sound. So it was a confliction because I knew it was a great opportunity, but I'm not like the best singer in the world, and I also don't love singing covers. So yeah, it really made the decision for me. And then Karma, getting back to Karma was literally the week that I decided not to do American Idol. I had so many, Karma's not just about one thing. It's just about like many decisions in my life that I've made that have been maybe not so favorable, or maybe something has happened to me as a result of doing something. But Karma was really a record where I was exploring that particular decision in my own life. Like here I had like, my family who was so excited, like I said before, my grandma's sick and my parents split up, and my sister just had a baby. So it would have been this incredibly unifying experience for my whole family. But at the same token, I knew that, like, even if that wasn't the right decision to not do it, I knew that there was a better choice for me to make. And that's kind of what Karma is a reminder to people, where it's like, they say you're always going to get your bad karma, so be careful what you say or what you do, and just reminding people that, like, if you act with good intention, that hopefully, that won't be bad karma coming back to you. And if you act with bad intention, just know that, like, when that next bad thing happens to you, it's just the law of attraction and reaction and etc. And I think for me, my favorite part about that song is the spoken word at the end, or it's like, life is sublime, sick as a rhyme. These screens in between us, the sign of the times. Out of our minds, eye to the sky. What goes around must come back sometime. And that was me just dancing with the idea of where we're at as people and how many choices now we have versus then, like with screens and technology, and how we can hurt people with just typing on our computers, and like you can build an entire universe right here on this stuff. So Karma was also, aside from it being, that for me, was also a commentary on the time that we're in, where people are doing things with no idea of repercussion because of the state of the world. Like, economic gain is more important than morality, and one person's life is more important than 100 people's lives, or 100 people's lives more important than one person's lives. And so it was really a commentary on just how many choices we have to make as people in a society and personally on a daily basis, and how that can affect the rest of our lives and the people around us.
Absolutely. And I think that's why it's one of my favorite songs. Like we were talking about before, it's just so important to be, a good person, and just to be nice, to be more of a global thinker as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like it so much. And I really I love that story. I just really respect your decision, because I think that's a smart decision that I think a lot of people wouldn't do. They would go down the path that seems the sexiest or the easiest or the I don't know. And I think that's usually an ego-based decision.
Right.
And so I really commend you for doing things your own way, even if it might be a little bit harder, but just making it your way on your own terms. I can really appreciate that. So.
Thank you very much. Manifestation is like one of the most powerful things we have.
Absolutely. We're running out of time, so before I let you go, I'm going to ask you for what I call the final push.
Uh-huh.
This is where I ask you to kind of reach through the microphone and grab the shoulder of somebody who's listening that really needs that extra inspiration to go and get their work done, and just give them your best words of advice and push them to do it.
Yeah. Final push here. If you are watching this and you are pursuing something in your life, I want to encourage you not to give up, even when it's like you're just so confused. I want to give an example. My little brother, Jacob Burnette, he is so talented. He raps, he sings, he acts. He's having trouble right now finding his passion. He doesn't know what he wants to do. If he wants to be an actor, a singer, a musician. He was working at Jack in the Box for a little bit, still lives at home, etc. What I'm trying to say is if you're chasing something and it's not like art or it's a career in something, in anything, or if it's just happiness, don't give up, even when it's low, even when there's dark times. Because I feel like a lot of people are in the same boat nowadays. We have so much available to us, but we don't know really how to use it or where to start. And I'd start by having a positive mentality, thinking it yourself. Whether it's, I'm not going to be sad today. I'm going to wake up today. I'm just going to try and do something else, because I'm just had enough of sadness. Like today, I can't be sad anymore. Even if it's baby steps, like that doesn't have to be today I'm going to change the world. Today I'm going to beat the president. Today I'm going to make a #1 album. Like it'd be today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to meditate, because every day I've woken up and I felt sad and it's just not working, So baby steps. If I had to reach out and grab you, baby steps. I have this tattoo. I got this when I dropped out of college. It says, understand. And the lyric of this chorus is, for every inch, there's a mile until the end. But I'll keep walking until my smile returns again. Do you understand? I think that's it's like one of my mantras, because it's not really about the destination. And the journey is tough. The journey isn't great. Everyone's like, it's the journey, not the destination. It's like the journey sucks sometimes. What if you don't want it to be about the journey? And it's really about small successes, looking down and seeing that your feet are moving. And if you feel like you're stuck, just look down and take that first step, that baby step, whether it's hanging out with a friend or reading a book or changing the way you think on a daily basis, or taking extra 5 minutes in the shower to just breathe through your pain or your fears or anxieties. Baby steps, because baby steps lead to movement. And the worst thing you can do is just not do anything. So if that was my little push to you, if I could give you one thing, it's just look down at your feet and keep going.
Absolutely, man. That's more than a baby push. That's a big push.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it really is. It's as simple as just not remaining stagnant, just get moving.
Right.
Brandyn, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it.
I love talking about this stuff and appreciate you taking the time to interview me, man.
Oh, of course. I'm very excited for your new EP, which is out in 2 days on June 24th. We will have links to go and get it. If you're listening to this after the 24th, you can go get it right now, and I highly recommend that you do. Head to yourcreativepush.com/Brandyn, BRANDYN. And you can also find Brandyn at his website. That's brandynburnette.com. On Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and SoundCloud. He's Brandyn Burnette. On iTunes and Spotify, just search Brandyn Burnette.
You got it.
Again, we'll have all those linked up so that you can easily find him and go buy his stuff. And I absolutely highly recommend listening to that song Lost. It's, especially if you're going through a hard time, it will grab your heart and it will help pull you through. So Brandyn, thanks again, man, for everything you do.
Thanks, man.
Wow, man, I love his mentality. I love the way he thinks about the world. I'm right there with him in thinking that artists have a responsibility. We all have this responsibility to make the world a better place, to try to see ourselves as more of a global community, and to try to help each other to get through this crazy existence that we live in. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to him and his music. And I think he's a super brave guy for, first of all, having the courage to audition for American Idol, but then to pass with flying colors, and then to make that decision to approach his music in his own way, the way that he wanted to do it, and not how some other people wanted him to do it. I think that's a really brave decision to make, and it really speaks to the way that he sees the world, which is also evident with the way he's growing as an artist now in his sophomore EP, and being able to find sources of inspiration from different places. And like he was saying, how each of his songs comes from, a different story, a different source of inspiration. I think that itself is very inspiring. So it was really a pleasure to talk to him and to pick his brain and to see the way that he looks at the world. Hopefully it was inspiring to you as well. Definitely go check out his new EP, State I'm In, which is out on Friday, June 24th, 2016. That's in 2 days if you're listening to this when it airs. Otherwise, you can go and buy it now. And for your listening pleasure, we are going to leave this episode with State I'm In by Brandyn Burnette. Thank you as always for listening. I love you all. And we'll be here for you on Friday if you need the push again.
Steady as she goes, holding on to hope. Into the unknown I drift away, ripping at the seams, vivid like a dream. I saw you long before you came. Now tell me where your heart is. Right back in the place it started. Whoa, 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 whoa. I've gotta figure a way out of this state I'm in, 'cause life been bringing me way down. I'm not giving in. I might be crazy, but I'll be alright, 'cause the only way to take off is to face what's on my mind. Yeah, walk on the wrong side. Yeah, walk it together to a better place, yeah, to a better state, yeah. When light ties a feather, no matter the weather, gotta find a way to kill the pain from this state I'm in now. Prosperity, truth over clarity, my Jewish charity, all that we give it, left reprimanded to life's empty-handed and taken for granted the life that we live. If only we know the difference, we tread the people, the fall to the roads that we led to start back again. We follow the path to it, to walk on the water, 2 feet cannot do it. Said I gotta figure a way out of this state I'm in, 'cause life been bringing me way down. I'm not giving in. I might be crazy, but I'll be alright, 'cause the only way to take off is to face what's on my mind. And walk on the wrong side, yeah, walk it together to a better place, yeah, back again. We follow the path to it, to walk on the water, 2 feet. Can I do it?